You have the traditional data, which is your HR data, But then we're beginning today to mine data, which is things like from GPS data, data from blogs, data from media, which is what at this point is traditional, but 2 years ago it was non-traditional. I mean, no one mined data from blogs, from getting GPS data from machine to machine. So I think that's where I define big data is the difference between the traditional data we get from our enterprise, which is structured, and then you have the non-structured data, which is coming from these various media sources. So I think that's where I put my big data definition is between structured data within the organization, unstructured data from all these various other sources which are non-traditional. And then we're talking about, obviously, you're talking about the hype of it. I think what we found, for example, we've been doing some work with the local public safety agencies, the government public safety. We found that we pull data from their machines, which is the GPS data. We pull data from their structured data, and we pull data from blogs, and we actually showed a lot of patterns to them. And I think that was patterns which we showed to them, which made a lot of sense in terms of looking at things like crime patterns, looking at locations of where you place your police stations, for example. This was very interesting because the data was not just purely from the structured data, but from unstructured data, looking at events that are happening. So I think that's it's not a hype, actually, it's really helping because we could actually plan much better. Not only that, also planning for headcount. We looked at the unstructured data, looking at GPS data coming in from machines and looking how they moved around, how they moved in their cars and their motorbikes, how they patrol on foot, and look at areas in a map and see whether the distance they covered were not reasonable or unreasonable. We had a guy, example, on foot, had to walk 50 kilometers. It didn't make sense. We just can't cover 50 kilometers in a day. So we looked at it and said, you have the road travels, you need to use a motorbike here, and this is a small area, you could use a foot. If you're going through a township or a housing estate, you need to go slower. You can't just drive through at 30 kilometers an hour. You got to maybe walk, or you could use a motorbike to go slower. So I think we used that big data and did things like this. So we think it's no more hype, it's actually becoming reality for planning.